Sophie Industries presents the Dark Depths Podcast. Halloween Special. Ulterior Motives. Chels, are you serious?
Of course I'm serious.
You're really going to make me do this?
It'll be fun. Come on. I promise it'll be fun.
Was this your ulterior motive all along?
Well, no. My ulterior motive was for you to, well, that's not really important right now.
It sounds like it might be important.
It's probably not important.
I think I'll be the one to decide if your ulterior motive is important, thanks.
Okay, fine. I'll tell you later, okay?
Promise?
I promise.
Good. Okay then, how do we start?
You start.
Me? You're the one who invited me out here to the middle of nowhere. Shouldn't you start?
Nah, I think it'd be more fun if you went first.
And why is that?
Because my story is better.
You think you have a scarier story than me?
I know I do.
Okay, you know what? You're on. You want scary? Fine, Charles. You better prepare yourself. Because when I'm done with you, you're gonna regret
Are you
ever...
just stalling?
Girl, I don't know why you brought me out here looking for a fight, but I'm not holding back. Buried within the majestic, snowy peaks of Alexana lies a pearlescent palace adorned with silver and gold accents with a great...
Holly, I know what Alexandra Castle looks like.
I'm setting the mood.
Oh, right. You're a storyteller. I forgot.
And what is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. It's a good thing. Just, a lot of embellishments. But yeah, please continue, Great Bard of Zana.
Okay, now where was I? Snowy Palace, right. What people don't know about Alexana is the dark secrets that lie buried deep within the heavy snow.
You mean the political corruption, assassinations, embezzling, xenophobic human rights violations?
Chelta!
Sorry. I'm sorry. No more interruptions, pinky promise.
Okay. I don't even... Okay, so you know how I told you that the Dark Depths did so good that I got sent to Alexana Prison? Well, that was mostly a joke, but I also did really get sent to Alexana Prison. The reason that it happened isn't really because it was too successful, but because of the sensitive nature of the topics that I was covering at the time.
Ooh, what kind of topics?
Like corruption, assassinations, embezzling, you know.
Yeah, exactly as I said.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that Alexana wouldn't want me talking about it, but I didn't think that they would send me to prison over it. I mean, it's not like I was accusing anybody of anything or trying to start a rebellion or anything. I was literally just writing little pieces of fiction. Okay, mostly fiction. At most 50-50. Anyway, one day I get a knock on the door, and then before I know what's happening, I'm being dragged away from my house by royal knights.
Wait, they came to your house? That must have been so scary.
I think it would have been scarier, but I was mostly just in shock. I didn't really want to admit it at the time, but I think I already knew that my parents had something to do with it. They had both been loyalists ever since I was little, and I knew that, they really cared about their loyalty and whatever, but I never thought that they would sell me out just because... Well, actually, I really don't know why. I haven't talked to them since I got out of prison, so whatever, it's fun.
It's what?
Yeah, so they took me away in Noctite cuffs, and it was just me and 3 royal knights. They didn't say a single word to me the entire trip, even though every single day I would ask them, where are they taking me? Or why are they taking me? Or what's going on? They never answered a single one of my questions, and before I knew it, I was in Alexana Castle being escorted into the dungeon.
Alexana has a dungeon?
Yeah, so you've been inside Alexana Castle and seen the garden and everything, but the prison is actually located inside the castle walls too, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't really know about. There's a separate facility outside of the main castle where the prison is, and the prison basically goes underground and then connects to Alexana Castle through this, underground dungeon. It's so weird, because you know how inside Alexana Castle, it's all, glamorous and pearly white with all these, gold and silver gems everywhere, and there's big paintings and big chandeliers, and everything is so bright and grand? Yeah, once you go down, one or two floors, it starts to feel more like a luxurious mine shaft than a castle. It's so weird and creepy down there. It's dark, and there are flickering shadows everywhere, and there are all these long and empty corridors.
That sounds really intense. How does the royalty deal with the fact that they have a dungeon underneath the castle?
Honestly, I don't think that they give it a second thought. It's pretty well guarded, and there are royal knights constantly on rotation, so it's not like it's easy to get to and from the castle to the prison. And there's basically only one tunnel that goes from the dungeon to the prison anyway. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Wait, so they took you into the castle?
No. So the royal knights took me toward the castle, and then they took me off to the side, and then into this building with knights on standby. We went downstairs, and then from that room, there's basically a hole in the ground that they made me go through that has stairs that go into the prison. It's super dark down there, and everything is lit by just a few candles. And then there's a huge stone slab they use to cover the hole going into the prison whenever they're not escorting prisoners or rotating guards in and out.
Okay.
Within the dungeon, there are multiple floors, and I was lucky enough to be on the highest floor. Actually, I don't even know how deep the prison goes since, I've never really had a reason to go down, especially after I got out. I've talked to other people who have been to the lower levels, and they said that it basically just gets darker and the air is more stale, and it makes you really feel like you're trapped underground and feel claustrophobic. I've also heard some more unsettling rumors, but I think that probably deserves its own Dark Depths episode.
What kind of unsettling rumors?
I think I probably shouldn't say more than that.
Oh, come on. It's just the two of us. It's okay. I won't make you talk about anything that makes you uncomfortable.
You say as you coerce me into revealing the scariest thing that has ever happened to me?
No, come on. This is for fun.
Right. Anyway, so I think you get an idea of the dungeon. The main thing is just that it's really dark. There are usually one or two guards that are patrolling each floor, as far as I know, and then they kind of rotate. They don't really talk much. The few times they do, it's about how they're mad that the next day they have to go to a lower floor. But other than that, I don't know. I don't feel like they really say anything. They just sit there and then they wait for their shift to end.
Don't they have to bring you, food and water?
Actually, no. All of the food and water is handled through this, weird conveyor system. I've never really seen anything like it before, but there's basically just a little chute, and every now and then there's a little bell that rings, and then the chute opens, and then there's just food and water there.
But what about, plumbing?
There is a plumbing system, but I don't want to say anything more than that.
Why, some kind of state secrets?
More I just don't want to relive that experience.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. So I get to the prison, and the first night that I spend there, I am completely 100% in denial. I'm convinced that I'm just there by mistake. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure that my parents or somebody will talk to whoever they need to get me out of there.
Holly.
Yeah, I know. So pathetic, right? At this point, I still have faith in my parents, but that will soon change, don't you worry. It's hard for me to say when the next day was because it becomes really difficult to keep track of time while I'm in prison. There are holes that kind of look like windows, but... Okay, let me explain. When I first arrive at the Alexana prison, there are these, square cutouts high in the wall, and I assume that they're windows because they look like windows. But once I've had a few meals and sleep, I don't see a single speck of light come through, and I realize that, yeah, they're not windows. I mean, it should have been obvious that they weren't windows because the whole prison is literally underground, so obviously there's not going to be windows, but, I wasn't really thinking clearly at the time, so it hit me pretty hard when I realized I didn't know when the next time that I would see the sun or sky would be.
Pahli, that sounds so awful.
It was.
Hey, take your time.
Oh, no, I'm not being quiet because it's too painful to recount or something. I'm mostly just thinking about what the best way to scare you is.
Right.
Okay, so as I said, the first few nights I'm basically completely in denial. It takes me a long time before I finally realize what's going on, and I come to terms with the fact that, I'm not here by mistake. I had been sent to prison because my publication had spoken out against the crown, and I guess somehow, someone had decided that little old Pahli of Oren is somehow a threat to the Holy Kingdom of Alexaria.
That's so crazy.
Right? I mean, thinking back on it, it's so ridiculous. I don't actually even know exactly how many nights that I spent in Alexandria prison, partly because there was no sun or light that came through, and partly because I just wasn't keeping track. I'm honestly not sure if it would have been better for my sanity if I had tried to keep track of how long I'd been there, but maybe it's better that I don't know. It's weird how as humans we kind of just adapt to whatever our conditions are. When I left Oren to go to West Camp for the first time, I was surprised by how fast I adapted to this, fast-paced, work hard, train hard, 12 hours a day kind of situation. And then when I went back home, I reverted back to, bed rotting and just, basically doing nothing all day. Being in prison was no different. It didn't take me long to adjust to my new schedule and my new environment, and before I knew it, I was just a prisoner, as if that's all I had ever been. I stopped thinking about leaving the prison. I stopped thinking about the beautiful sun and sky above, and I stopped thinking about all of my friends. In retrospect, I can see that this was just like an unhealthy coping mechanism, but at the time I really did feel at peace. That is, at least until I started hearing the voice.
Excuse me, the voice?
Let's rewind a little bit. I've always loved telling stories, and as a result, I've spent a lot of time talking to myself, sometimes to play out characters, and sometimes just thinking out loud. Anyway, in prison, it was no different.
But weren't there, other prisoners there?
There were other prisoners, yeah, but they never spoke to me. When I first got to the prison, the guards rushed me into my cell, and after that, I didn't hear anybody talking, so I kind of just assumed that I was the only person in there. It wasn't until my first meal that I realized there were other people eating too, but they just ignored me.
What do you mean they ignored you?
I mean exactly that. Once I found out that there were other people who were eating, I tried talking to them, but they just ignored me. I tried small talk, I tried asking why they were here, I tried asking how long they were here, but I never got any kind of response from them.
But then one day you started hearing a voice?
Yeah, I was literally laying in my cot about to fall asleep, and I heard a voice. It was kind of strange because it was like a little whisper in my ear, and at first I thought that I just imagined it. How sometimes you're just starting to dream and you mix up your dream and reality? It felt like that.
Okay, well, what did it say?
Sweet dreams, Pahli.
Ew, unnerving.
Hey, that's my line. But yeah, it definitely was unnerving.
So what did you do?
I did what any reasonable person would do. I pretended like I didn't hear it, and I went the heck back to sleep.
Okay, yeah.
To be totally honest, the next morning, or morning, whenever I woke up, I had completely forgotten about the whole thing. I got out of bed, found some cold food waiting for me, ate it, and went back to just sitting on the floor.
But then something happens?
The next night, just like before, I heard the voice again. A little whisper in my ear. Sweet dreams, Pahli.
Ew, stop.
Now this time when I hear it, my brain recognizes it and my eyes shoot open. It's still dark, mind you, and there are only 2 candles in this entire area. I can't see anything, but my eyes are darting around, flicking back and forth, and I slowly remember something, that I had heard the same thing yesterday. And then, as I tried to recall the memory, it's like, have you ever tried squeezing out a pimple and stuff starts coming out, but then as you squeeze, like, way more stuff comes out than you expect?
Ew, what the heck?
Yeah, it was like that. I realized it wasn't just yesterday, but also the day before. Maybe the day before that, too. Every single night before I went to sleep, I heard this voice, and it was only now that I realized, recognized, and remembered all of it, all at once.
I'm sorry, full disclosure, I'm still stuck on the pimple thing. That was so gross.
Need a sec?
Okay. So there's creepy whispering, you hear it at night, but then one night you realize you've been hearing it every single time before you go to sleep? What do you do next?
So yeah, now I'm like wide awake. I still don't know where the voice is coming from, but I sit up from my cot slowly and look around. Of course, I don't see anything. My first thought is that the voice came from one of the cellmates to my left or right, and so I reply, "Hello?"
Hello.
It replies. I look around again, but again it's like so dark. But the voice sounds like it's not coming from either side. It sounds like it's coming from within me.
Huh?
Who are you? I ask.
If you're asking for my name is unimportant. What is important is what I know and what I can do for you.
Okay, so what does it know?
I ask the same thing. It says,
A little birdie or a little owl, perhaps, told me that someone is coming for you.
Like, coming to save you, or...
no, to kill me. I don't remember the exact words the voice uses, but it tells me in no uncertain terms that an unnamed assassin will arrive at the Alexandra prison exactly a week from then and kill me inside my prison cell.
So, what did you do?
Well, the whole thing was so crazy that when I heard that, I don't know, I froze. I sat there for a while, too scared to respond to it, unable to rationalize what it had told me. I mean, who would want to kill me, for heaven's sake? I'm like a literal nobody. Certainly not assassination worthy.
Okay, well, you're definitely not nobody, but yeah, I can't imagine why someone would want to assassinate you either.
Right? So I'm pacing around my cell, I haven't heard the voice since, still don't know who or what it is, and eventually I'm like, okay, I just imagined it. I must have imagined it, because it literally makes 0 sense. Like, I don't think it's one of my cellmates, and what else could it be? A heckin', like, transcendent in the Alexandra prison?
Yeah, that would be crazy.
I wish I could say, like, I didn't give it a second thought, but I was, like, obsessing over that conversation. It was all I could think about. I kept wanting to say something to try to, like, contact that voice somehow, but it felt so crazy to do, and I felt embarrassed and scared. Like, what if I had just imagined the whole thing, you know?
Did it try to talk to you again?
Not exactly. You see, the next time I laid down to go to sleep, I felt really on edge because, like, I was anticipating that the voice would come back.
Right?
But it didn't.
What?
It didn't come back.
It... like you never heard from it again?
That's what I had maybe thought. I stayed up for, like, forever, just laying in the cot, eyes closed, waiting to hear the voice in my head, but it just never came.
Okay, hold up. Let me get this straight. So you're laying in bed, you hear a voice, it says, "Sweet dreams, Pahli," like every night, and then one night you talk to it, it tells you you're gonna get assassinated, you don't reply, and then it just, like, goes silent after that?
Yup. So, naturally, this is actually, like, weirder than if it had kept saying sweet dreams, because now I'm like, where the heck did this thing go? Did I really just imagine the whole thing? The next day, or, like, whenever I wake up, I start psyching myself up. I'm, like, jumping around, trying to get myself pumped up, you know?
No, what are you psyching yourself up? Oh, you're
Yeah,
going.
I'm gonna be proactive and talk to it.
Okay, so.
I'm literally like, hey,
Wait, you said hey to the ghost transcendent that's haunting you?
shh, stop laughing. This is scary, okay? So I'm like, hey, but I don't hear anything. I'm like feeling so crazy right now, and I'm starting to feel sweat on my palms. So I try again. Hello? I ask. Are you there? And then a moment later,
Yes, I am always here.
so I huddle up, glancing around me, still looking for where the voice is coming from, and I'm like, the other day, you said there was someone coming for me. How do you know that? And it replies,
I know many things that I have seen, that I have heard, and I have witnessed your demise at the mercy of a silvery blade.
and so naturally I'm like, why are you telling me this? And it's like,
That brings us to the second piece of information that you should be interested in, which is simply what I can do for you.
and what is that? I ask, leaning in.
I am the only one who can save your life. I am the only one who can stop them.
What?
Yeah, I'm basically thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, weird disembodied voice telling me I'm gonna get assassinated, says it's the only thing that can protect me. No way. Thank you, next. At this point, I'm committed to never talking to the voice again. I know that if I just hang in there for just a few days, I'll see that, hey, there's obviously no assassin coming for me, and I'll know that whatever this crazy voice is yapping about, it's just bluffing, and I can move on with my life in solitary confinement.
But.
But then, just a few hours later, I overhear the guards talking. Yeah, you know how I said the guards never talk? Well, tonight, they're feeling talkative. And you know what they say?
That an assassin is coming in a few days?
No, I mean, that would be crazy. No. I hear them mumbling to each other, barely loud enough for me to hear. I have to, like, squint with my ears, if that makes sense. And I hear them talking about the guard rotation a few days from now. Hey, did you hear about the vacation in a few days? Sure did. You don't sound all too pleased. It's just a little suspicious. Usually they stagger our days off. Oh, come on, lighten up a little. Not like anything ever happens down here anyway. I'm just saying, it's a little weird that we're going to be short-staffed on just, like, one night. Well, I'm sure as heck not complaining. Don't you think it's weird, though? The guard rotation has never been short-staffed before. It's above my pay grade, to be honest. That's fair. What, worried about the prisoners? No, I'm worried about the guards who will be on rotation. Oh, come on. They'll be fine. Now, they might not be worried about the prisoners, but at this point, I sure was.
Wait, so the guard rotation is going to be lighter on the same day that you're supposed to be assassinated?
I don't remember exactly because, like, again, I wasn't really keeping track of time, but it sure seemed to line up pretty well. So yeah, naturally, at this point, I'm spooked. I'm nervous. Still, I think it's probably nothing, right? It's not like the assassin could have planned the guard rotation, but then I think about it the other way around. If the assassin was coming, then of course they would collect intel, right? And of course they would plan their assassination on the day that they're going to have the least amount of resistance, right? But the question is still, who is the voice, and how could they have possibly known any of this? It sounded like not even the guards knew about it until recently, so what kind of thing could have known about it?
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea, other than like a transcendent or like somebody with a lot of power in Alexana, but like how would they whisper into your ear in a prison?
Yeah, at this point, your guess is as good as mine, because my guess is I have no freaking clue what this voice in my head is.
So then
I'm in prison, I'm alone, and I'm starting to get kind of scared. And you know me, Chels. I'm not someone who's good at, handling things alone, so I try to call over one of the guards. They ignore me at first, maybe thinking that I was just losing my mind, but I keep trying. I'm guessing they hear the desperation in my voice, because eventually I hear a sigh, and then footsteps start coming over toward my cell. "What?" one of the guards asks. It's only when I've gotten their attention that I realize I actually don't know what to say. I start, stammering, trying to explain who I am, why I'm here, and she's like, "I don't care. What do you want?" So I'm like, what do I want? Well, for starters, I don't want to get assassinated, but how do I even say that without sounding insane? "Don't waste my time," they mutter while I'm still trying to think. Before I know what's happening, the guard is walking away from me, and suddenly I just blurt out, "Wait, please, wait." And they stop. "I'm scared," I tell them. At this point, the guard comes up toward the cell, closer than before, and I can see her face, dimly lit by the candles, and then I just, start blurting things out. I tell her I'm scared for my life, that I think someone might try to come kill me, and that I'm scared about the guard rotation being reduced. I tell her that I just want to go home and see my friends. I think maybe it's because I start crying, or, well, I don't know why, really, but the guard comes closer to the cell and reassures me. She says that nobody's going to get me, and that for better or worse, Alexandra Prison is one of the most secure places in all of Isarine. And when I don't stop crying, she sighs. After thinking for a little bit, she's finally just like, "Okay, here. Would it make you feel better if I came in that day to watch over this floor?" And I don't really know how to respond, so I just nod. She looks at me and offers a slight smile, and is just like, "Okay, then I will."
wow, that guard is a hero.
Tell me about it. Her name is Drakit, by the way, in case you ever run into her in Zana.
So does she actually show up on her day off?
Hey, no skipping ahead. Who's telling the story?
Sorry, please continue, Your Majesty.
Finally, some respect. So after talking to Drakit, I start to feel better. A lot better. Yeah, there's still going to be less guards around, but at least Drakit will be there, basically as my personal guard, so it helps me sleep at night, or day, or whenever I'm sleeping. Or so I thought. As I'm laying in bed, drifting off to sleep, without a worry in my mind, I hear the voice again.
"Polly, do you really think that a single guard can guarantee your safety? Do you think I lied to you?"
My eyes shoot open as I stare up at the dark ceiling. What do you mean?" I stammer.
"I told you that I am the only one who can protect you."
"I don't even know who or what you are," I reply.
"My identity holds no relevance to your inevitable demise."
"Of course it holds relevance," I say. "How can I trust you when I don't know who you are or what you want?" And for a while, it's silent. Like it's thinking.
Allow me to answer your question with another question. What price isn't worth paying to save your precious, singular life?
And then, the moment it says that, it's gone.
Gone?
Yeah, it's not like it said goodbye or anything, but I just know in my heart that it's gone.
It didn't, wait for you to reply?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was kind of a rhetorical question, but honestly, I don't really know. A whole day goes by, and the words are swarming through my head I don't know, brain mosquitoes.
Ew.
I can't stop thinking about it. I asked the guards on patrol if Drakit is around, but they say that she took an early day off today and would be in tomorrow.
So your supposed assassination is tomorrow?
Yeah. I mean, again, I wasn't keeping track of the days either, so I was like really caught off guard. The whole day I'm just like nervously pacing back and forth in my cell, not sure what to do. Eventually, Drakit shows up, and I realize that I've stayed up through the entire night. I was so anxious that I didn't even get a wink of sleep.
That sounds really bad.
Right? So the moment Drakit shows up, I call to her and she comes over to my cell. I think she can already tell that I'm frantic, and she reaches through the cell and places her hand on my shoulder to calm me down. She reassures me that everything is going to be okay, and even though I'm like an anxious mess, she manages to help me relax a little. She asks me about my friends and my family, about how I ended up here, and just generally makes conversation with me to get me to stop worrying so much. Eventually, when I'm calm enough, she gives me a smile and tells me she's returning to her post, and I nod blankly as I see her go. I don't know what time it is at this point, but I keep looking at Drakit every now and then to make sure she's still there. I'm like being mega paranoid.
I mean, I feel like that makes sense given the situation.
I know, but it still makes me feel crazy just thinking about it. I felt like I was too scared to keep my eyes closed for more than a few seconds. I was certain that every time I looked away from Drakit, she would vanish. And then something happens. I blink, but when I open my eyes, it's still dark. I blink a few more times, but I can't see anything. I can't even see my hands in front of my face. The candles have gone out, and the place is pitch black. A cold draft creeps through the air, and as it crawls across my skin, I freeze. My mind is racing, my heart is pounding, and I'm gripping the bars of the cell so hard that my fingers are gonna break, but I'm too scared to move. Drakit. I wait a moment. Drakit? But she doesn't respond. Instead, I hear a sound. It's like 2 sandbags being softly lowered onto the ground, but in the silence, it sounds like boulders crashing into water. I gasp involuntarily, stepping backward. And then I hear the voice.
Time to choose, Pahli.
I try to ignore it, backing up in my cell. I instinctively raise my hands, ready to weave, but the Noctite cuffs instantly devour my essence. I don't have a weapon. I don't have any way to defend myself. I'm literally a sitting duck, trapped in a cage, completely helpless.
I am the only one who can protect you.
Shut up, I think in my head. Shut up, shut up, shut up! A jingle of metal rings through the air.
What will you choose? To face the end with prideful independence, or survive at any cost?
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up! I can hear footsteps clacking against the stone tiles. Tap, 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 tap.
Your time is running out, Pahli.
I see an alien green glow in the distance that causes chills to ripple across my skin. And all the while, the footsteps grow closer and closer toward my cell, toward me.
It's time to make your choice, Pahli.
And then what happened? Did you take the deal? What did you do?
Nothing. I didn't take the deal. I was too scared. A moment later, the emerald green light arrives at my cell, and the footsteps come to a stop. I hear the little metal jingle again, and the gate to my cell unlocks. The emerald light is spilling into my cell, illuminating the area around me, but I still can't see who it is. I flinch as it slides open, the metal creaking loudly. "Who are you?" I whisper. The footsteps come toward me, and I'm frozen in fear, my whole body once again turning into a statue as a pair of hands come out of the darkness. I squeeze my eyes shut and nearly yelp as I feel their hands touch mine. But then I hear their voice for the first time, and relief floods my body. Chin up, grin up, they tell me as my knock-tight cuffs drop to the ground. It was Osea. She had come to save me. She helped me out of the cell, made sure I was okay, and we made our way out of the prison and out of the castle walls. I almost cried the moment I felt the wind on my skin. There was no moon in the sky, but even so, the curtain of the dark night sky, sprinkled with stars and planets and galaxies far away, it felt so bright and grand and amazing. And just like that, I was freed from Alexandra prison.
Just like that?
Just like that. So, what do you think? Pretty scary, right?
Yeah, you definitely got my heart going. Although, I kind of wish you told me the real story.
What do you mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I think your storytelling is good. I just would have preferred the actual version.
Huh? This is the actual version.
Okay, what about the stuff you lied about?
I didn't lie about anything.
Yeah, you did.
Did not.
Did too.
When?
Like, a bunch of times.
Name one time.
Like the first night you said you heard the voice. It didn't say, "Sweet dreams, Polly."
How do you know that? No, really, Chels. How did you know that?
I didn't. I was just bluffing. Wait, now I want to know what it actually said.
It didn't... I don't really remember, to be honest. But anyway, you were just bluffing. I may have embellished that line to be scarier because I really don't remember what it said. That doesn't make it less real.
Okay, how about when you said you stopped thinking about your friends after you got locked in prison? You said it was like part of you adapting, but that's a lie, isn't it?
I mean...
There's no way you would ever stop thinking about Ariane of Elfrey and Osea of Meka and... Okay, I'm drawing a blank on everyone else's names. You have way too many friends, but my point still stands.
Yeah, I was just... Well, I feel like if I
know, you didn't want the story to become too depressing, right?
Yeah.
Polly, it's okay. It's fine that things are depressing. You're allowed to be sad.
Yeah, I know.
Also, what happened to the voice?
What do you mean?
After you escaped, what happened to it?
Beats me. I honestly don't think there was a voice at all.
But if you...
Remember, I was like pretty loopy during my time there. I wasn't sleeping right, it was super dark, and I was really lonely. It's like ideal conditions for hallucinations.
Yeah, but how did it know about the guard rotations?
I really don't think it's worth worrying about, Chels.
But I just feel like
I wish I could tell you, but again, I haven't heard the voice since, and I obviously didn't get assassinated, so... Seriously, I don't think there's any point in dwelling on it. Just a fun little mystery that we'll never know the answer to, I guess. Anyway, how about your story?
Polly...
You said you were going to one-up me, right? Don't tell me you're getting cold feet.
Fine, but I'm warning you, this is definitely scarier than your story.
Are you just stalling?
Ha ha. Okay, my scariest encounter was about a year ago, passing through the Black Forest.
Scary story in the Black Forest. Isn't that a little cliche? I'm sorry. No more heckling. I'll be the bigger person.
Thank you. Anyway, yeah, I was traveling through with my friend Hana, who I met in Edo. We were making our way through the belt with a party of like 10-ish merchants and hunters that we met in Nauru, and long story short, everyone we were traveling with died, but...
They died?
Yeah,
All of them?
Yeah, but Polly, that's not the scary part.
How?
Polly.
How can everyone dying not be the scary part?
Polly, chill. I know you Alexandrians scare easily, but come on, deep breaths.
Okay, sorry.
Have you been through the Black Forest before?
Not exactly.
Okay, so as an Alexarian, I guess this might be surprising, but traveling through the Black Forest unprepared is pretty much a death sentence.
You weren't unprepared though, right?
Right, but it's still like a huge risk no matter what. We got ambushed by beasts in the middle of the night, even though two of the hunters were supposed to be on night watch. I mean, we say night watch, but similar to your situation, you don't actually know what time it is in the Black Forest, so it's kind of just like when everyone decides to go to sleep.
Right.
Anyway, me and Hana make it out alive, but we're like really on edge. We've lost a lot of our supplies, and we don't really know the Black Forest super well, so we're like really tense the whole time. At this point, I'm more shaken up than he is. I think he had a lot more experiences like this in the Faroe Woods, whereas I grew up in the desert, so the idea of like the unseen threat is not really something that I'm equipped to handle. Neither of us are hunters, but like we get by, so I think we can hold our own if we need to, but I really don't want to like need to, you know?
Yeah.
So Hana can definitely tell that I'm scared because he's like way more chatty than usual. I didn't really think much of it at the time, but I'm really thankful because I think
Wait,
he was
are
really,
you and Hana like...
like, what?
like...
Yes?
you know...
Okay, once you have a question, I'll be happy to answer it. So we're making our way through the Black Forest, chatting, but trying to keep our voices down. It's mostly Hana talking to me, and I'm giving like 1 or 2 word answers. I'm still a little shaken up from what happened, but more than anything, I'm just like anxious. Eventually, though, we both start to grow pretty quiet, and you know how Cleason talks about the waters of Serpent Head Lake and how it's like darker than black? The Black Forest is like that too, and it's basically like so dark that you start to lose yourself if you're not careful. Something about walking through there, just the sounds of your footsteps and breathing, it just like hypnotizes you.
That sounds
Unnerving.
unnerving.
I mean, you're right, it definitely was unnerving. I was lucky to be with Hana when it happened, but by the time I snapped out of my trance, I felt completely lost. I didn't know how much time had passed, or how far we had gone, or if Hana had said anything to me in the meantime. It felt like it had gone by in the blink of an eye, except I knew it must have been much longer than that.
How do you know?
How do I know what?
That it had been more than like a few seconds.
Oh,
Sorry for interrupting again.
No, that's a good question. I'd say it's kind of like when you go to sleep and wake up in the middle of the night. Sometimes you can just tell that you've slept through most of the night even though you can't see any light yet. Does that make sense?
Kind of?
Okay, well, that's basically how I felt.
Did you ask Hana about it?
That's exactly what I thought to do next. I turned to Hana toward the sound of his footsteps, and just as I'm about to ask how much time has passed, I feel something weird. You know, like fire peas, or I guess from Alexaria, teeth crawlers?
Yes.
It felt like a teeth crawler scurrying down my spine, lightning fast.
Oh.
I got this like horrible feeling that something was wrong. I felt my pupils dilate even though it was pitch black. My mouth was dry, I started sweating.
Why?
That's the thing. At this point, I'm not really sure. I don't know why, but when I try to talk to Hana, I just feel my throat close up, like there's a danger present. And then I start to pay attention, like really pay attention. You know how when one of your senses isn't available, it like heightens the other ones?
Yeah.
At this point, I can't see anything, but I feel like I have like super hearing. I can hear like twigs and stuff breaking in the distance. I can hear like every blade of grass crunching under my shoes. I can hear the rustling of my clothes. And most importantly, I can hear Hana's footsteps, clear as day. Even now, I can remember the feeling as I listened to the sound of his footsteps. They sounded lighter than mine somehow, almost like he weighed less than before. Even weirder than that, the cadence of his footsteps was different than mine. I remember the rhythm was like pa-pa-pa, pa-pa-pa, pa-pa-pa. Before I can even dwell on it though, I heard a howl. Have you ever heard a beast howl before?
Yeah, a few times.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. That weird wolf-like but almost human howl, like something is experiencing the most agonizing pain imaginable?
Uh, well, I've never heard it described like that, but...
Yeah, so a howl tears through the darkness, and suddenly, it's so quiet that I can hear my own heart beating. I turn toward Hana, or at least where I think he is, and I hear his voice. Run! I don't hesitate for a moment. I bolt, sprinting for my life, blindly into the forest, and all I can hear is my own footsteps and Hana's footsteps ahead of me. I can't see anything, and even though I'm running right behind Hana, I keep slamming my hands and my arms and my shoulders into trees as we're running, and it hurts like hell. After a while, I finally get hit too hard, and it knocks me off balance, and I fall to the ground. By the time I hit the ground, we've been running for our lives for I don't even know how long, and I'm like super out of breath. My body aches like crazy from running into so many trees, and my lungs feel like they're burning. It feels like no matter how hard I breathe, I just can't get enough air into my lungs. Hey, are you okay? When I hear Hana's voice, I get the same feeling as earlier, like a teeth crawler is scurrying across my back. It's only a second later when I'm pulling myself off the ground that I understand why. Hana isn't out of breath at all. That was pretty scary, I tell him. Yeah, he replies. Do you think we lost it? I ask. Yeah, he says again. I know now for sure that he's not panting or even breathing heavily, and it really sets me on edge. I admit that it might be a little bit paranoid because Hana might just be in like much better shape than me, but it also bothers me because in the time that we're running, I'm pretty sure he didn't run into anything at all. Before I know it though, he starts moving, and so I follow close behind. My brain is going crazy at this point, and I'm trying to stay calm, but the only thing going through my mind is like, is this really Hana?
Who else would it be?
I don't know. I mean, in hindsight, it's easy to dismiss, but at the moment, I was really scared. So I start asking questions just to like try to confirm his identity. I'm like, oh, when we come back through the belt, I should totally go visit my best friend in Jaruna. Oh, what was her name?
What does he say?
He just laughs at me. He's like, how did you forget your own best friend's name? So I try again. I laugh it off, and then I ask him about where he's gonna go once we get through the Black Forest. He tells me we've already talked about this like 100 times, and when I press him, he's just like, Chelta, stop messing around.
Ugh.
Yeah, so at this point, I really have no idea if this is Hana. I know it's his voice, but between the weird gait, not being out of breath, and conveniently dodging all my questions, I'm starting to feel more and more paranoid. I really want to know if it's Hana, but I also really don't want to know if it's not.
I know what you mean. Ugh, I hate that. What did you do?
Well, I didn't have to do anything. As I'm spiraling in my thoughts, I feel something on my shoulder, and it literally makes me scream. Hana laughs, and a moment later, I let out a breath of relief. You okay? He asks. Yeah, I tell him. You just scared the heck out of me. He laughs, and a moment later, I feel his hand take mine. He must have noticed my surprise because he laughs it off and is just like, this way we won't get separated.
He holds your hand?
Yeah, but...
So wait, are you two...
Are we what? So anyway, we're walking hand in hand, and I immediately notice that his hand is like cold and kind of like clammy. But then as I started paying attention, I swear he has like more fingers than I expect. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like our hands are cupped, not fingers laced. And so I feel his fingers against the side of my hand, and I'm trying to like count in my head how many fingers I feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, nope,
6,
stop.
7.
Nope.
8.
Stop.
I feel like I've lost count, and so I start over. But each time, it feels like a different number. I'm like losing my mind out here. Hana, I say at last, deciding to confront him. He stops moving, but the moment he does, we hear something in the distance. It sounds like an animal cry at first, but as I listen closely, I can hear that it's unmistakably a human voice. What is that? I whisper to Hana, but he shushes me. A moment later, Chelta! I hear my name clear as day coming from the distance. The thing is, it's Hana's voice.
What?
Chelta! Chelta, where are you? Before I can say anything, the Hana next to me turns toward me. Don't say anything. I look at Hana's wild eyes and listen again as he calls from the distance. Chelta, where are you? Follow my voice. I turn again toward Hana, the one that's standing next to me, and he's like, that's obviously not me. I mean, I'm right here. Whatever that thing is, whatever is out there, it's not me. My hands are sweating now, and I can feel pinpricks on my skin. I can still hear Hana's voice out in the distance, calling toward me, saying that there's something out here, that we have to stay together, that we got separated, that he's been looking for me this whole time. Chelta, the voice next to me is like almost pleading at this point. You have to believe me. I don't know what that voice out there is, but it's not me. We've been together this whole time, remember? We haven't been separated for a single moment. Don't listen to whatever it's saying. I know what he's saying is true, but all I can think about is a strange feeling I've had this entire time. I think about his fingers and his footsteps and the way he dodged my questions. I know what he's saying is logical, but my gut instinct tells me otherwise. Chelta, you have to trust me. Before I know what I'm doing, I rip my hand away from him and start sprinting as fast as I can. I don't look back. I can hear both of the voices, both of the Hanas shouting behind me as I run and run as fast as my legs will take me. My muscles burn, my lungs are gasping for air, and my heart is pounding like an earthquake. But I'm too scared to slow down for even just a moment. I can feel the footsteps following me, chasing me, just one step behind me. I imagine that cold, pale hand with much too many fingers reaching out through the darkness, and I scream. I duck my head down as I push my legs to go even faster. And then finally, I see something. As I lift my head, I see light and the blue sky, and I push myself even harder until at last I break out of the black forest. I can still feel something right behind me, just a hair away, almost like its breath is on the back of my neck. And so I keep running and running and running until finally the grass beneath me is green and I leap forward, crashing into the ground. I turn around frantically to see what's behind me, but there's nothing there. And eventually I just collapse into the grass and break into tears. Chelta! Before I can get even a single moment to catch my breath, I look up and I'm literally so shocked that I stop crying. Standing before me as I hyperventilate is Hana. He looks worried, but completely at ease, and most notably not out of breath. I was worried sick. I've been out here waiting for you, and I was so scared that something had happened to you. I was trying to figure out whether I should go back or get the Hunters Guild, or... I'm just so relieved you made it out okay. You've been out here waiting for me? Yeah. After we got separated, I couldn't find you, so I kept running, and eventually I made it out. Are you mad at me? And at that moment, I'm honestly not sure. I don't know if I'm angry or upset or just terrified. All I know is that I want to get the heck away from that stupid forest, and so I tell him that. He agrees and suggests that we head to Huron together to get some rest. Sure, I say. But as we begin to walk, I'm like super dazed, not really paying attention to anything. Something touches my hand and I suddenly jump. Hana laughs and then turns toward me. This way, we won't get separated again.
Wow. What? So, was the Hana in the forest?
I have no idea.
Have you talked to Hana about it?
Honestly, no. We spent the night in Huron together and then we went our separate ways. I think he knew I was really shaken, but I don't think he knew why.
Wait, like you spent the night together?
In the same tavern, yeah.
In the same room? Ugh, what am I even saying?
I don't know, what are you saying?
I don't know.
Anyway, what do you think? You were quiet for a while there.
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I was just thinking about when you were telling the story, you mentioned that you looked at Hana's face. When you said you heard Hana's voice in the distance, you said you looked at the Hana that was next to you. But it was pitch black, right? So there's no way you could have seen his face, right?
Oh, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Weird. I must have misspoken.
But you even said he had wild eyes.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. I mean, I obviously couldn't have seen him.
Yeah, obviously.
Are you sure you're okay?
Well, it just seems like a weird detail that... Whatever, it's fun. Anyway, yeah, I think you were right.
About what?
Your story was definitely scarier.
I told you so.
Now I'm not going to be able to sleep.
It is getting pretty late now, isn't it?
Yeah, we started pretty late.
Well, you know, if you get scared during the night, you can always come over to my cot.
Was that your ulterior motive all along?
You still remember that?
Of course I remember! Is it or is it not?
Well, only one way to find out. Good night, Pahli.
Good night, Chels. Thank you so much to everyone who checked in for this Halloween episode. Today, we have Set joining us.
Hello. So we have a kind of unique format today for the Halloween special. It was a very different experience than how we usually do this, but I hope that you guys like it. If you do, please let us know.
I'm also, just FYI, being held hostage in an unscripted scenario, so good luck to me during this outro.
Yeah, so Shelby usually has everything like written out word for word, and I was like, oh, let's wing it. But we're not, yeah, we don't have a script right now, so if you want more unscripted nonsense, we have our behind the scenes video that we just released, so go check that out. Or I guess podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast.
You can also find it on YouTube. You know, we're not picky about where we upload stuff to, so you can find it anywhere. And I promise it won't disappoint.
Yeah, you can listen to it on Spotify or whatever. But if you want Shelby's live reactions, YouTube video has that.
Yep, completely unfiltered facial reactions to everything going on. It's a great time.
And a cat cameo.
Yes, a cat cameo. Love the cat. Okay, anyway, we have a Patreon, if anyone doesn't know by now. If you go to patreon.com, we are The Dark Depths. Every month you can receive Patreon rewards. That includes a collectible character card, completely original art made by Sophie, and also includes a
very painstakingly
with possible mistakes along the production process. So like I might throw you an extra bonus in there. You never know what's going to happen with that because I make them. There's a postcard and matching bookmark, also featuring art from, the world of Isarine. There's also a really cool personalized envelope that they all go in. So, just neat little things that get tucked in there for every month that you support us.
Yeah, we're just starting this podcast and it's very exciting, but also it's very difficult to kind of balance because we're not really getting paid for it, really. So if you want to help support us and allow us to make more of these, please consider supporting us on Patreon. I also want to give a thank you and a shout out to our patrons at the Deep Diver tier. So thank you, Ruby, Kai Vito, Morgan, and Tom.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support and for everyone that tunes in to these episodes. Every single listen, comment, share helps us out so much. So if you think that you're not making a difference by just listening, you really are. So we appreciate that.
But also, I love getting DMs on Instagram about people finding Dark Depths and what they've enjoyed about it, any thoughts that they have about it. So feel free to reach out that way.
Yeah, we love the interaction, the engagement, things that you can also do directly with us on Patreon as we post polls and open questions, Q&As, things like that. So yeah, we really just want...
And you can suggest words for Shelby to say on the behind the scenes videos.
For my terrible pronunciation skills. And if you want to know more about that, watch our behind the scenes video. Anyway, see you later on the Dark Depths podcast.
Bye.
Goodbye.